Hey guys, this is Briggs. So I just wanted to do a video on my 9-gram activation. And actually this is an interlinked story with the entry of into the entry of my COVID experience. So simply put, my 9-gram activation was about a week and a half before we went into shutdown. Those of you that are familiar with plant medicine experiences, first of all, would know that 9 grams is quite a ceremonial dose. And also that integration is important. So to move into the full swing national crisis and global shutdown in the midst of trying to integrate back into normality was a very tough process. I was also moving through, so please also know that when one goes into ceremony, it is not the night of ceremony that is the be-all and end-all of your experience. This is a process that, you know, the entire ceremony is something that you lead up to a ceremony point. You have your ceremony night. You lead out of a ceremony point in your integration process, which may take months. And actually, we're always constantly moving through cycles. So this particular ceremony was a complete death and rebirth cycle. An initiation ceremony that I'd done last year, the theme was empowerment. This theme was unity, so there is no separation. And it was such a beautiful and profound experience, because what I realized was there really is no separation. So you move into these ceremony spaces with absolute terror and fear, and you know, having known that COVID existed before this time, not that it was going to impact my life in such a way, but there is no separation. It is all one. So when you're moving in that ceremony time, in the time frame that is devoid of time and space at that point in time, is quite a profound place to find yourself in, intellectually speaking, with the mind, because what you realize is from the soul spaces there is no separation. So you are simultaneously sitting in the medicine, sitting in the earth, connected to Gaia, connected to the grids, connected to the Milky Way, seeing the natural phenomenon around you, meaning the sky, the mountains, the moon, as huge beings, experiencing yourself as this expanded energy field of epic proportion, simultaneously sitting in a fear that you knew was present upon entry into this experience, and now being in it and going, well, it's all simultaneously happening, and here I am. I'm not dying, although I am, and trust me, I did. So there's always a dying, because there's parts of you that you are just stripping away, and what are we usually stripping away is identity. But I'll get to that. Is sort of going, you know, we are simultaneously sitting in it all. There's no separation, and yet we're still here, breathing. I am still here, breathing, witnessing, observing, experiencing, channeling, holding space, opening, closing, weeping. There was a moment where I needed to walk through a field of coding. Actually, I couldn't really see. It was just coding, and I needed to go to the loo, and I walked to the other side. It was just a tree that I needed to pass, but I walked to the other side, and I looked up at the sky and I just fell to the earth. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. Oh, it was so beautiful. And I guess in this moment, feeling what I'm feeling is really a reminder that we are not separate from the rest of the universe. We are not separate from Mother Earth. We are unified in a field of beauty, of brilliance, of intelligence, of consciousness. We live on a magical planet with such beautiful resources here to play with our consciousness, to experiment with our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, to master the human experience. And one does not need to go into a 9-gram journey to do this. I work in the plant medicine space, so this is part of my path. I do not recommend it for many, I can tell you that much. Okay, and this was an embodiment practice. I really want to share that with you. Those of you that have come to my ceremonies would have really moved into more of a healing space. So again, this pertains to each light worker having their direct function. Okay, my contract was to awaken and activate people, so meaning I'm moving, majority of my work is done through activating those that are unawakened and being the bridge to now a process of awakening, able to teach in that space. I am moving away from that because I wish to work in higher frequency, and it is quite draining to work with that that model for much longer. I've done my work there. I am now recreating and co-creating a new experience for myself and my clients based on higher frequency work, and also because of the activations that I've been through, it's too much of a gap for my clients, or for that old program, let's call it that, for my old program. I will still be presenting and offering that work, but in a completely different manner, more in a one-on-one manner, where I require a certain amount of work to have been done, because this is not a game. For those of you questioning your mental capabilities right now, and this is what this time in history has shown us, that we have to look at certain things. So it's been a challenging time for me because I was expanded so much, and basically the objective to a certain degree, was, and the objective always is to expand and embody that new vibration. So it's not a lying down process like you guys have experienced with me, healing, etc. We are up, we are about, we're moving, and holding and embodying this new vibration. It was a complete recoding of my DNA. As I mentioned, all medicine work will have an element to this, but this was really a death. What I experienced from my perception is that I died. I breathed into the other side, even though I have explained that this is a oneness, so there was no separation, but that was how the mind can explain it. And I came back, and where the back is integrating into this new other side, who knows? So this is where it gets very interesting. It was a process of really, I viewed my beautiful starseed sister as a mermaid through this experience. I literally saw her as a mermaid, her skin moving into the scales of a fish. And I actually saw her shapeshift in front of me into about, I don't know, it must have been about 8 different beings in the space of time, of which one was a mermaid. And that's what I witnessed. And beautifully, she mentioned to me that I was at this place of this DNA coding space, was that I transpired and breathed in into this water being, an aquatic being. And our first ceremony, the one that I did last year, was really to sort of pinpoint the seeding of my origin, and that's the Sirius star system. And learning more about Sirius at this point in time is Sirius B is said to be a completely aquatic planet, which is what we experienced on my first journey, although we had an idea of Sirius C also being there because Sirius C is cloaked. And this was our experience on that first journey. So you have to understand, moving through these experiences is a mapping. It's a process of mapping. You cannot attach entirely to the information received at one point in time, in a linear time. We come together and we start to learn more and more and more. So this mermaid experience is relevant because just recently I learned that Sirius, hold on, I'm not going to say. One of the Sirius systems, A, B, or C, I can't remember, consists of the mer people. And so I had a full vision of this in my 9-gram, and her envisioning me as this absolute water spirit element. And she said to me she's never worked with anyone so connected to the water element. And it's interesting because I'm an Aries and I work a lot with the fire and very connected to earth as well. So it's so interesting. Yet my whole entire life, I've been dreaming of whales, I've been dreaming of dolphins. It's it's an obsession. So I'm in such alignment with this information about being this water being. So yeah, what else happened? You know, really experiencing times of sitting and observing in 2 different dimensions at one point. This death and rebirth, and an absolute psychosis. I say this with love and light because it was such a beautiful experience. Scary. It did provide me with a bit of PTSD afterwards, but for a very short space of time, because I'm an energy worker, so I know how to move through these things. And that's why I'm saying entry into COVID was it was a fucking tough time, excuse my French. There were other things going on in my personal life, dealing with my light being cast onto someone else's shadow and that coming through. I've just done a video on shadow work and holding the space and what light workers are going through at the moment, these psychic attacks, and we are being attacked because we're doing the work and bringing in more light. We bring in more light, and when we bring in more light, we get attacked more. So I was dealing with this right after my journey. Going back to the psychosis, it was a beautiful experience. I explained it as beautiful because it was something that there was a beginning, a recognition of, and an end. And in linear time, it couldn't have been more than 35 minutes until I came out of it. The recognition was beautiful as well because I didn't feel lost in it. It was a very cognitive space where I verbalized, I asked, am I in a psychosis? The answer came back, yes. Fantastic, I need time to go through this. Awesome. I came through it, and this is how I came through. I think this is important. So a psychosis in an energetic sense is a blockage. So any dis-ease, whether it be mental, physical, emotional, is a blockage. So where am I experiencing the blockage? Psychosis has usually got to do with the third eye. What is my strong suit in terms of my chakras? That's what I went to as my grounding force, is my heart chakra. And I just started breathing and reconnecting with my heart chakra, expanding it. I had my face very close to the earth as well, to Mother Gaia, just reconnecting that heart chakra to her. And slowly I started forming a rhythm with the beat of my heart, which was connected to Gaia at that point in time. And it was sort of just re-listening to my heart. So again, this is beautiful symbology of getting out of the mind, because this is where the block is. So I'm too much in the mind. The mental body is trying to figure out what has happened. Where is the glitch here? Because I was lost in... So what was my psychosis was basically I was lost in a space and time where I believed there hadn't been a previous time, and all the beings that I knew in physical were figments of my imagination. That was my psychosis, okay? So again, it speaks to there is no separation, there is no time, and coming back was this grounding experience, tapping into the rhythm of my heart, reconnecting to Gaia, getting out of the mind, connecting to the heart. And when I was back, it was such a beautiful process. And again, I'm so grateful that it was only 35 minutes. Okay? And this is part of it. It's a stripping of the ego. It's a stripping of the ego. I'm so grateful for that experience. I'll do another video on this, the shadow stuff that people are currently dealing with, of which one of them is a lot of people moving through psychosis. But yeah, this is more to do with my 9 gram. What else can I share? Just the absolute sheer beauty of South Africa and the earth. I felt like one of the giants. You know, we always speak to entities, what entity is going to come, but if you view the mountain range, the sky, the moon, the stars, the Milky Way, the tree, the ground, all as entities, and you as another participating in the show at that point in time, then you experience true oneness, feeling like a giant. Integration through this 9 gram has been difficult. I'm integrated now, but it was difficult being swung into the corona, shutdown, personal stuff, the shadow work that I was personally dealing with, along with holding the space for others. It was gritty, grimy. I've used those words in another video that I did with regards to microdosing. Okay, it's gritty, grimy stuff. But as a teacher, I'm so grateful for these moments so that I can share with you and know that it's hard work, but we get through it. We have tools. It is merely energy. And one thing I know for sure is energy is always changing. It can be transmuted. We just need to learn how. So guys, that is a share of my 9 gram embodiment journey, tiny bit of psychosis, absolute experience of being one with the giants of nature, Mother Earth. Thank you to my beautiful facilitator and starseed sister, medicine sister. I'm so grateful for these experiences, and to every single client of mine who's been on journey with me, and every single person that has participated in the sacred use of mushrooms and the mycelial network that connects us all. May you be blessed through this time, and always lots of heartfelt energy to you, and thank you. Love and gratitude. Cheers.